All right, now, wakey, and a very good morning to you. You're welcome to the program this morning on ITV, Wednesday's edition, the 13th day of the month of August 2020. I beg your pardon, the 12th day now of the month of August 2026. You're welcome to the show. Now, I understand that birthday batch, a big birthday batch in town, talking about the birthday of the Deputy Governor of Edo State, His Excellency, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, at 46 years old. So we celebrate him, and of course we say a big congratulations on as he celebrates his birthday. My name is Evan Sunohogi, and I'm always not alone on this show. I have my co-anchors, in Benin, in Lagos, and of course in Abuja. Messalina Unko is right there in Lagos. Messi, a very good morning to you.
Beautiful morning to you, Evans. Trust you're doing good.
Well,
how is Benin City today? Lagos is a bit cold. The weather is okay, and I would say it's a beautiful day that the Lord has made. We need to rejoice and be glad. So basically from Lagos today, there's a lot to talk about. The 2027 forthcoming election is just by the corner, and campaigning is starting by this month. And INEC can close the list for candidates for them to submit their candidates. 2027 election, INEC candidates list closes. What does it mean for the Nigeria battle? Like I said, there's a lot to uncover. We're just going to be focusing on the 2027 election, opposition parties against the ruling party. Because now they're meeting some opposition parties in presence of Atiku, Obi, Shey Makinde, and some other persons. They are meeting. I don't know if it's going to be like another coalition, because the first one they did not work out. So now they're set to meet August 18 to talk about this whole thing. Waited till that time. We don't know if they are going to finally decide that, oh, you go, we are going to support you, or let's just wait to see what happens. But the meeting I know is for them to come together to see how they can unseat the ruling party. And INEC, now that the list is closed, APC even said that they uploaded theirs on time, even before the deadline. But other parties like the ADC, NDC has also uploaded their candidates. And now that the list is closed, election is by the corner, campaign is starting very soon. Let's see what happens. Have you voted? Have you gotten your vote? Have you gotten your voters' card to go out and vote? Remember, if you don't go out to vote, now I'm talking to the audience out there watching me, if you don't go out to vote, go out there, cast your vote, vote your conscience, vote the right person. So Evans, basically today from Lagos, we're talking about the forthcoming 2027 election.
Yeah, beautiful one there. And when we talk about the election in Nigeria, the closest election, and of course the next election in Nigeria as it stands today, is the one on Saturday. That's on the 15th of August, 2026. Talking about the Osun State election, we've seen activities, prior to the election, and of course we're also following the trajectory even now, and what will happen on election day, and of course after the election. So the biggest challenge for INEC is to see that the votes are protected because of the antecedents that we'll be going through. Talking about the AFCC laying a seizure on the Osun State's account, and of course the arrests that have been made here and there in the state. Anyway, let's join Abuja. I have my co-anchor in Abuja. Yes, a very good morning to you.
Wonderful morning to you, and also a wonderful morning to Messalina. I like her vibe this morning, the way she just came in and the vibe she came with right there. I really set the tone right there. And she said something very important about the forthcoming election, the coalition, and so many other things. But at the fulcrum of the day is also the youth. And today happens to be International Youth Day, with an interesting theme that has to do with different contexts and also common aspiration. Put into consideration the vulnerability of different communities, our economic perspective, our background. This is really will be a major topic in the next few months in Nigeria, especially as we are going to the polls, with the youth being the fulcrum of this, with so many people trying to convert for the support of the youth of this country. How important is it? How will they help in shaping the country? And that's what we'll surely be looking at from the Abuja studio right there, where we're taking a look at the International Youth Day, the role of youth in the scheme of things, and now we can really be able to come onto ourselves and be able to achieve the aspiration of our forefathers. That's what we surely be looking at this morning from the Abuja studio.
Okay. All right, beautiful one right there. Well, for Benin, we're going to be looking at the call for pay rise. Talking about the Nigerian Labour Congress of Workers in Nigeria. You know, this time, workers under the ages of NLC are, you know, agitating for 500,000 naira as minimum wage. Little wonder, even if that's will even be enough in the present day Nigeria, where cost of commodities, you know, are skyrocketing by the day. I mean, you own a car, you want to drive on daily basis. Then, of course, depending on your distance to your place of work, but you should be ready to spend at least 10,000 naira, you know, every day. So if you pull that together, it shows that you're going to be paying almost about 300,000 naira for fuel alone. I mean, for 30 days. So how can you go, even if you are giving 500,000 naira, you know, as your minimum wage? Because you also have to do other expenses. So we're going to be looking at that this morning from Benin to see how feasible that would be. Remember, we are coming from the journey of 70,000 naira as minimum wage, and against the backdrop that it's been controversial, a lot of you know, allegations and accusations that some state governors are still battling, you know, with the 70,000 naira minimum wage. So now that NLC is calling for 500,000 naira as minimum wage in the country. So we're going to be talking about the feasibility of that as we move on the program this morning. We tend to have some labor devotees to do some explanation, you know, on that issue as we move on this morning. Anyway, we'll take a short pause now so that all that segments we come your way. In other time, Usaka is on the corporate training segment, so he's going to be training you again today as you go along your day. Don't forget the program this morning on ITV, and you're welcome on board.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Ugemobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
You are specially welcome to this segment of the program. Inuagata Nosahai is my name, and always delighted to come your way every Wednesday to add premium value to your day, especially those of us that are into entrepreneurship, those of us that are leading different organizations, those of us that are HODs, team leaders, pastors, NGO practitioners, and the likes. And we have been looking at different leadership styles and its impact on workplace dynamics. For 3 weeks now, I've been zeroing it on the police institution, how we can drive and strengthen leadership in the police institution. And this morning, we are also going to further take it deeper with the police institution and how to drive effective leadership in that institution. And also, on that topic, every other leader in any other sphere or industry can also glean a lot of insight, a lot of knowledge on how to apply different leadership styles to different situations as the need arises. And the case scenario we are going to use this morning is how a superintendent of police applied democratic, cohesive, and affiliative leadership styles to support the commissioner's vision. How a superintendent of police applied democratic, cohesive, and affiliative leadership styles to support the commissioner's vision. Remember, the democratic leadership style is the all-inclusion leadership template where the team leader allows team members to bring ideas on board to make a creative contribution for the advancement of the team. It is all-inclusive. It carries everybody along. Now, the benefit of such a leadership style is that at the end of the day, it results to very creative and outstanding idea. But if the democratic leadership style is overused because of too much deliberations, too much analysis, it can lead to serious wastage of time. In situations where urgent decision needs to be made, the democratic leadership style, if overused, cannot work in your favor. Then we have the cohesive leadership style, which is a template of do as I say command style of leadership. It is very useful when it comes to handling matters of serious indiscipline, very important when it comes to making sure that crises are quickly resolved and managed. And then if overused, it can become overbearing and discourage harmony and fluid collaboration in the team. Then the affiliative leadership style is all about driving team harmony. It's a leadership style that is very concerned about the emotional and psychological state of the people. It wants to ensure that there is team trust, there is team harmony. Now, if that affiliative leadership style is also overused, you are going to see a situation of tolerance of mediocrity. Performance, low performance will be, almost become the norm because the team leader wants to just see that everybody is happy, people are carried along. And it is very important you know as a strategic leader, this is when to apply this leadership style. This is when to transition and shift from me. This is when to move into another leadership style. And that is why this morning, the case scenario we are using to look at these different leadership styles and their impact on workplace dynamics is how a superintendent of police applied democratic, cohesive, affiliative, how a superintendent of police applied democratic, cohesive, and affiliative leadership styles to support the commissioner's vision. I go straight into the case scenario. A newly appointed commissioner of police introduced a clear vision for the state command to strengthen intelligence-led policing, improve rapid response, and restore public confidence. That is the vision by the newly appointed Commissioner of Police. And the case scenario is how a superintendent of police applied democratic, cohesive, and affiliative leadership style to support that vision. A newly appointed Commissioner of Police introduced a clear vision for the state command. And what's the vision? To strengthen intelligence-led policing, improve rapid response, and restore public confidence. A superintendent of police heading a specialist unit recognized that achieving this vision required his unit to align its operation with the new strategic direction. That is the vision the commissioner just brought on board. Now, the superintendent initially adopted the democratic leadership style. He invited officers and supervisors to discuss the commissioner's vision and share ideas on how the specialist unit could contribute. Officers suggested improvement to intelligence gathering, information sharing, operational planning, and collaboration with other formations. After considering the suggestions, The superintendent and his team agreed on specific priorities and responsibilities. This created a strong sense of ownership because officers understood that their contributions had influenced the unit's operational plan. That is what the democratic leadership is all about. All-inclusive leadership, where you allow team members to make contribution on how to achieve set goals and objectives, or even how to create goals and create vision for the team. The Commissioner of Police have a vision for the state. He spelled it out. Then a superintendent of police that is heading a specialist unit, wanted to make sure that he is able to connect his team members, his unit, to see that the vision of the commissioner is achieved. Now, he brought in the democratic leadership style to make sure that that happens. However, after several weeks, the superintendent observed that some officers were failing to meet agreed deadlines, ignoring operational instructions and showing reluctance to adopt the new procedures. Recognizing that excessive consultation could undermine the urgency of the commissioner's vision, he transitioned into the coercive leadership style. When you continue to overuse the democratic leadership style, it is going to result to a laissez-faire attitude. It could result to indifference attitude where people are really not committed. And the way to see that you restore discipline is to introduce or shift or transition to the coercive leadership style, which is the do as I say leadership style. And that is what exactly the superintendent of police, heading the specialist unit in the state police command, did in this case scenario. After bringing in the democratic leadership style, and the next thing he decided to do when he saw that things were not working as intended was to bring in the coercive leadership style. Clear instructions were issued, deadlines became non-negotiable, and officers were held accountable for failure to perform assigned responsibilities. Supervisors were directed to monitor compliance closely. The firmer approach quickly improved discipline, operational responsiveness, and adherence to the unit's objectives. That is what the coercive leadership does. He was able to shift from democratic all inclusion. When he noticed indiscipline, he brought in the do as I say style of leadership, which is the coercive side of leadership, to ensure that things are done correctly in achieving not only just the goals and objectives of the unit, but to ensure that the overall vision of the police commissioner for that state command is achieved. That became the reality. Now, what is the title of the case scenario again? How a superintendent of police applied democratic, coercive, and affiliative leadership styles to support the commissioner's vision. Now, we have seen how he brought in the democratic, how he brought in the coercive. After that, let's see how he brought in the affiliative leadership style, which is about ensuring there is team harmony, full collaboration, and trust in the team. After the unit regained focus and performance improved, the superintendent recognized that maintaining a highly coercive approach could damage morale and create unnecessary tension. That is when you continue to hold on to the command style of leadership, which is the coercive style of leadership, morale may be damaged. You need to also learn how to shift and create balance with another leadership style, this time around the affiliative leadership style. He therefore shifted to the affiliative leadership style. He began recognizing good performance, listening to officers' concerns, encouraging teamwork, and addressing interpersonal conflicts promptly. Team meetings became opportunities to celebrate achievements and strengthen relationships. The combination of the three leadership styles enabled the specialist unit to contribute effectively to the commissioner's vision while maintaining discipline and team harmony. The experience demonstrated that effective leadership is not about permanently adopting one style, but knowing when to involve people, when to demand compliance, and when to build relationships. Very important how a superintendent of police applied the democratic, coercive, and affiliative leadership style to support the commissioner's vision. What are two key practical lessons from this case scenario as I begin to conclude? Number one, practical leadership lessons from the case scenario. Effective leaders must adapt their leadership style to the situation. Very important. Democratic leadership style can create ownership. Coercive leadership style can restore discipline when necessary, while affiliative leadership style can rebuild trust and team harmony. No single style is effective in every situation. This is one key leadership lesson, that is the core of the message of this topic. What is the main umbrella topic? Different leadership styles and their impact on workplace dynamics. And the core message of it is for you to understand that a particular leadership style does not fit all situations. You should know when to shift from leadership style A to B and C. Then the second leadership lesson from the case scenario. Leadership requires balancing results with relationships. Very important. I will take that again. Leadership requires balancing results with relationships. Leaders must be firm enough to achieve organizational goals, but caring enough to maintain morale and commitment. Leaders must be firm enough to achieve organizational goals, but caring enough to maintain morale and commitment. The ability to transition from demanding performance to rebuilding relationships is essential for sustainable success. This is the core of this series, which is different leadership style and their impact on workplace dynamics. So as a leader, just like the superintendent of police in this specialist unit of a state police command, you should also know when to apply a particular leadership style. Like he did, he applied the democratic leadership style to see how they can support the commissioner's vision. It was all inclusion. He brought all unit heads on board to see how, the vision of the commissioner could be supported. Then after a while, when he noticed that, people were not really so committed, he brought in the cohesive leadership style. From there, he moved into, the affiliative leadership style to ensure team harmony. Now, I believe that lots of value have been added to you today. I know you want to, make inquiries, send messages across, and you have been doing that through my email address, and you can also do that today. INUAGHATA is my email address, which is right there on the screen, inuagata@gmail.com. Send your inquiries, send your questions, and let's build a better leadership community and nation for ourselves. I'll be seeing you next week, Wednesday. When I return, I will still be the amiable Inuagata no Saha. Your day is so blessed. Thank you.
This beautiful morning would be reviewing the papers, the front pages of the dailies this morning. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper, where the big headline on the Guardian newspaper says, chaos as passengers airlines suffer losses from over 80 cancelled flights. You get that on page 6 on the dailies, the Guardian newspaper, this morning. Another headline there says, 2027 ADC unveils code of ethics documents for candidate members. You get that on page 3 on the papers. Osun 2026, Adeleke Oyebamiji Salam talk tough of victory. You get that on page 3 on the page, and another one says federal government recovers 3 billion naira media debt, declares and advert. You get that on page 7 papers. Okay, still on the headline, Obasanjo Jonathan orders 6 overhaul of Nigeria's democracy structure. You get that on page 6 on the papers. Orire adoption. Oyo Pro panel seeks public evidence as DSS releases artisans. You get that on page 5 also on the papers this morning. UBEC urges states to deploy unutilized 332 billion naira education development fund. That is on page 7. And also on the papers, ASU prepares 20 varsities for industrial action, issues 14-day ultimatum. You get that on page 4, also on the papers. Nigeria's high debt service draining social infrastructure spending, AFDB warns. That is on the business page on 18. Do well to grab a copy and go through these. These are all the fronts, the headlines on the front pages on the Guardian newspaper. Let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper, where one of the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper says, Osun decides candidates talk tough, unveil plans for state. That is on page 8. A writer says, I am a bulldozer, not afraid of federal might. APC governance at Adeleke, to Adeleke. Another writer says, Oyebamiji downplays federal might, vows to banish poverty. Another writer says, we will build on past governance achievements, Salam. That is for that. And another headline there says, controversy over Senator Fada Hussein's comments. You get that on page 13 on the papers. Federal government backs regional petrol pricing benchmark for West Africa. That is on page 22. Infrastructural terrorism, how scavengers wreak havoc on public facilities. That is on page 2 on the Vanguard newspaper. Still on the newspaper, 5% CSC, passengers stranded as unions protest ground flights in Lagos and also in Abuja. That is on page 9 on Vanguard papers. 2027, Atiku raises concerns over outdated BVAS. You get that on page 32 on the papers. Okay, still on the papers, ASU orders 20 varsitors to prepare for strike. It gives federal government, state governments 14-day ultimatum. That is on page 9. Jonathan's 2015 sacrifices saved Nigerians' democracy, says Nnamdi Usman. You get that on page 12 on the papers. Reform. Tinubu projects $50 billion revenue to unlock offshore investment. That is on page 30 on the Vanguard newspaper. Federal government targets 6 flashpoints in new push to end farmers-herders clashes. That is on page 7 on the papers. PDP ADC kick as Cross River PEC's presidential campaign adds at 150 million naira, the governorship at 100 million naira. That is for that on the Vanguard newspaper. Do well to grab a copy and go through them. We're still on the daily's review. Let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune papers, where one of the headlines there says, Adeleke demands Osun senators arrest. You get that on page 3 on the Nigerian Tribune papers, where another headline there says, Tinubu approves a deep offshore investment framework to unlock $50 billion in new investment. That is on page 23. Also, another headline there says, 10 police officers, 17 bandits killed in Zamfara Kebbi clash. That is on page 13 on the papers. Okay, the big headline there that says Adeleke demands Osun senator's arrest. A writer says, accuses him of calling for the killing of Accord members, says it is a matter of national security. And he responded to say, I said kill Accord with vote, not violence. Fada Hussein explains. Okay, explanations. Another writer says, pleased to deploy over 10,000 personnel. Still on the Nigerian Tribune, TUC demands 1,000 naira to dollar exchange rate, says stronger naira will cut food prices. You get that on page 21 on the papers. Nigerians will benefit from $100 billion investments in oil and gas others. You get that on page 6, also on the Nigerian Tribune. Millions of Nigerians' children risk losing basic rights without birth certificate, UNICEF. You get that on page 29 on the papers. While on health, sickle cell threat may hide diabetes, Ghana study warns. Get that on page 10 on the papers. How the valued currency debt pressures weighed on improvements in Nigeria economies. You get that on page 7 on the papers. No democracy in Africa but first liberal democracy, Obasanjo. You get that on page 22 on the papers. This is all the headlines on the Nigerian Tribune papers. Do well to grab a copy and go through them. Let's take a look at the Daily Trust papers, where one of the headline, the major headline there says, losses, disruptions as labor unions ground flight. That is one of the major headlines there. Another headline there says, Nigerian democracy needs review, Obasanjo and Jonathan. You get that also on the papers. Sokoto, Kaduna, Adamawa, 10 others to experience flood in August. You get that also on the papers. Osun governorship CSO condemns Senator Fada Hussein's calls for violence. We'll talk more on that on TMI socials, where different persons have, different comments on this particular, comments made by the Osun State Senator. Okay, another headline there says APC, ADC, NDC, others uploads candidate as INEC short porter. That is also going to be a major conversation. We'll talk more on that later from Lagos. Okay, another headline there says federal government to rehabilitate 470 grazing reserves. You get that also on the papers. Federal government, to pay workers disengaged 20 years ago. Okay, that is also on the papers. Another headline that says Tinubu Sultan asks Nigerians to unite against insecurity. Okay, let's take a look at for the Daily Trust newspaper. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph papers, where one of the major headlines on the New Telegraph paper says, Africa's winner take all democracy needs rethink, says Obasanjo. You get that on page 2, on page 4, on page 6, and also on page 7 on the New Telegraph paper, where a writer says, Jonathan charges political parties, judiciary to protect continent system. Another writer says, we own survival of Nigerians' democracy to Jonathan Usman. While another writer also said, Nigeria can only thrive under true federalism, says Diri. You get that also on the papers. Let's take a look at another headline that says, Osun Govern, Oyetola using federal mind, Adeleke allege. Okay, interesting. So you say to federal government, fast track state please. Don't sacrifice 99% of Nigerians for politicians. You get that on page 2 on the papers. Nigerian losses 2.1 trillion naira as foreign shipping lines defy federal government's container deposit law. You also get that on the papers this morning. Another headline says NIBSS National Payments Stock processes 26 million naira deals worth 1.4 naira. Okay, that is on page 25 on the papers. Let's take a look at the Nation newspaper, where one of the headlines on the Nation newspaper says movements of cattle to curtailed with 6 ranches. You get that on the papers. Another headline there says government policy to unlock $50 billion deep offshore investment, while another headline there says Bakers gets FCCPC warnings over deceptive labor. Get it on page 25 on the Nation newspaper. Aviation union strike cripples air travels. You get that also on the papers, where another headline, okay, that is all we have on the Nation newspaper. Do not forget to grab a copy and go through all of this paper so you get more details on that. Okay, let's take a look at the last papers, the Daily Sun, where one of the headlines there says Osun Adeleke demands arrest of Fada Hussein's overkill them call. Okay, we've talked about that before. Atiku raises concerns over outdated beavers. IRF, we've also talked about that. Obasanjo Jonathan Obi expresses worry over state of democracy. A writer says former president says excessive judicial intervention in political affairs worrisome. That is on page 6 on the papers. Another headline there says 2027 ADC unveils governance code, vows to play different politics. You get that on page 27 on the paper. And also, as to other states, vows prepare for strike. We've talked about that before. These are all the headlines, the papers. This is all we could take on the newspaper review this morning. Like I said, do well to grab it and go through them. Thanks for joining on the papers review. We're still on CMI. Do not go away.
the man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They can't
smart.
sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them up and dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe. And these women would stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
Onwa is rich in culture and traditions. The people are a mixture of traditional worshippers, Muslims and Christians. Onwa is located at the northern part of Edo State. It consists of two local government areas, that is Onwa West and Onwa East. It has a total number of 13 clans and 21 political wards, according to National Population Commission 2006 census. The population of Onwa people is put together at 251,686. The people love tradition and culture. Historically, the people ancestors in deep quest to hand down on their future children a society of love and friendship.
TV, certainly the best.
In a rare display of botanical brilliance, the palm tree defied natural norms, sprouting multiple branches that bear fruits. This rare occurrence has become a wonder to many, as experts are calling it a one-in-a-million phenomenon. Could this multiple-headed marvel hold secret to agricultural breakthroughs, or is it simply a freak accident of nature? An agronomist with Nigeria Institute for Oil Palm Research, NIFOR Benin. The strange palm tree also raises issues of a blend of science with human interest and cultural significance for maximum impact.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year, new vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future. In the evening, the Ewe leaves are presented to the Oba of Benin in grand style in a colorful ceremony. The Ihogbe society, amidst singing and dancing, bring the sacred leaves that symbolize good luck, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Each of the senior members of the Ihogbe proceeds to give the sacred leaves directly to the Oba of Benin, and others put theirs at his feet.
qui mange à ton moment.
Thank you so much for staying there. The program still this morning on ITV. Yes, we are set and ready in Benin City here. But sincere apologies that we're getting this topic, the first discussion segment, coming slightly behind schedule. We had to quickly fine tune so that we get our guests on set. Anyway, as we also await the sets now, let's quickly see. The issue we're talking about the pay rise, the call for pay rise for workers in the country, and it gives a backdrop that we are coming from a journey. We're talking about the 70,000 naira minimum wage. So, but this time, members of the NLC are agitating for 500,000 naira as minimum wage because there was a rally recently whereby such thing was mentioned by one of the Labour devotees in the country. Now, some of the information that we are following is that Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress are demanding for 500,000 naira as the new national minimum wage. And we understand that the NSC Deputy President, Audu Titus Amba, announced this recently. And he's saying that it is the right of workers, and the idea of paying 70,000 naira, it's long overdue because of the economic realities on ground. Well, I've got my co-anchor Wilson Omasho. Wilson, maybe when 500,000 naira is now being paid to workers in Nigeria, you and I will benefit from it.
Well, let's say until Ahmed Ewaike join us virtually. Of course, Nathanos Ahmed join us. They're going to give us their own opinion in this particular discussion. But come on, Evans, 500,000 naira, is that really feasible? Maybe they just have an open check for negotiation. I'm beginning to feel that it's because Mr. President, due to his magnanimity, choose to increase the wages of our military personnel, saying that they're doing so well for the country. You have to really make them happy in terms of salary package and all that. Maybe that's the reason why Labour choose to bring theirs forward also. Doing for the military, wow, fair and good. I really love that initiative. But when I got to hear that particular news, I was like, the next is going to be NLC. Now, I was like, at the first time, NLC was like, okay, maybe they've changed their mind because I was really expecting it to happen. So when I saw the news, we need 500,000 naira, I said, voila, that is it. That is it.
Well, I think we need to look at it from another way around because I remember when the 70,000 naira was, put or signed into law, was agreed by the federal government. Now, there was an improviso. You always use that word now, improviso. Yeah. Now, the improviso that was attached to it was that it was going to last for 3 years. Now, we're talking about what came on board since 2022, 2023. Yeah. This is 2026. So, 70,000 naira has since elapsed because what the NNC members are saying, what the NNC body is saying is that it elapsed in July 2026. Yeah. And this is August 2026. So it's only rational that these guys, try to draw their employers back to book that, hey, you reached an agreement with us that this thing will elapse in July. And 2-3 years time. Now, another thing we also need to look at is the closeness it has to election. At times, I like the way people handle politicians. The way Nigerians handle politicians. Now, I'm not trying to encourage anything, but I think most times it appears that most Nigerians, they really know how to handle politicians. Now, you know, these guys, they need our votes. And, you know, it's like somebody's holding you by a jugular.
Yeah. Well, if you take a look at the situation, you get to realize that this was signed, it's an agreement between both parties. I just felt that maybe somewhere along the line, they didn't really instigate it. One is the increase in salary for the military personnel, and secondly, what you talked about, what is quite apt, is an electioneering year, so to speak. January, let's say start of campaign this month and all that. You understand? Yes, holding them by the jugular, trying to make them see reasons why there should be an increment in salary for the workforce. But think about it, Evans. If they choose to increase salary without making sure that the economy it's okay in the country, to me the increment will be in futility. And you talk about 500,000 buck, you know it's not going to work. It's all a template for negotiation. It's all a template for them to know that, look, labor, they are still here on the ground, it's given to us, we thank you for that, but it's still not enough. But you're now waiting for the election time. Anyway, that seems to be the best time for them to strike. Because we are here, the workforce is here, you have to remember your promise, you have to keep to it, things are getting tougher, you need to do something. But the economy should be worked on, because even if they give for 1,000 buck, there'll be inflation. Now, would that naira be enough to cushion the effect of the inflation?
Anyway, let's quickly take a short break now, because we're getting signals that our guests are ready to join us via the Zoom. So we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Benin Cultural Dance, a unique dance and quality dance steps of the Benin people. This dance is a vibrant mix of traditions, arts and beliefs, deeply rooted in the country's diverse ethnic groups and their rich history. The dance has artistic expressions depicting the people's history. Benin people have been famous for bronze and brass work, some of which is said to date back from the 13th century, especially ivory and wood carving. In Benin, the people dance to show respect, honor, dignity, which they honor. They dance to show royalty, as naids are seen in their numbers around their body depicting the symbol of kingship.
The threat of global warming is real. You have seen the destruction of lives and property as a result of incessant flooding. Make the environment a conducive place for all to live in. Stop polluting the environment. Protect the environment today. This message is brought to you courtesy Independent Television and Radio.
some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates
All right, thank you one more time. The program still on your television, absolutely, this morning on ITV, Wednesday's edition. Yes, the agitation for 500,000 naira as minimum wage is our focus this morning. And joining us virtually from Benin is Ahmed Iwaike, who is an affairs analyst and also a political analyst. Mr. Ahmed, a very good morning to you. You're welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. My guys at the studio. God bless you.
Okay, and of course I still have my co-anchor here, Wisin Omasho is still right here. Now, Mr. Ahmed, the agitation for 500,000 naira as minimum wage has come to the fore recently, and of course it's more or less controversial because even some members of the NSC are agitating that we shouldn't be talking about minimum wage. It should be living wage. That seems to have been the problem in the country. I mean, even when the 70,000 naira minimum wage was canvassed for, a lot of persons actually argued for living wage. Now, as we look at the feasibility of realizing 500,000 naira as new minimum wage in Nigeria, now we are looking at it from the back against the backdrop of a living wage. You know, so let's marry these two phenomenal concepts together, if you like, now minimum wage and living wage. You know, bearing in mind the present costs of living in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. The NLC, they are not doing bad by requesting for 500,000 naira as minimum wage. But the issue is that, like as you are saying, that we are looking at living wage because the main essence of this whole thing is for survival, in order for an average worker in Nigeria to survive. Because even as at the time they were agitating for that 70,000 minimum wage, as at that time, they didn't even agitate for 70,000 naira, if you may get it correctly. They were agitating for about 150,000 naira. But you know, government, who is the payer, decided that this is what best they can pay, and at the end of the day, it ended up at, you know, that 70,000 naira. But as it stands right now, it cannot even take you home for even a week, let alone a whole 1 month. So as they are agitating for 500,000 naira, they are doing well by starting with that. But you and I know the government of the day will not be able to pay 500,000 naira as minimum wage or even living wage, as the case may be. But that may stand as a bargaining power. Okay, let them, as a bargaining, you know, step. Let them start bargaining from 500,000 naira. Probably at the end of it may end up at 100,000 naira or 150,000 naira. Even as a that, even if the federal government of Nigeria decides to agree that our minimum wage should be.
All right, so we'll try to get back. Now, we said, you say that the arguments are already, you know,
already coming up.
The, you know, NSC demanding for 500,000 naira, but there's a segment of the board that is actually saying that rather than ask for 500,000 naira, why don't you request for a living wage?
All right, let's get to hear from our man to continue. Ahmed, we can continue with the point you were making.
Even 150,000 naira will not still be sufficient, you know, with the current reality on ground right now because of the cost of living. The cost of living currently right now, somebody earning 150,000 naira cannot be able to have a good, you know, living wage for his or herself. So I believe the government should work on the economy.
Okay, you said they believe that the government should work on the economy. All right, fine. So, Ahmed, if you can hear us, you just made a point about fixing the economy, so to speak. Now, Evans talked about minimum wage and living wage. These are two separate things, but they are interconnected. Now, with that 500,000 naira, do you think it's feasible? Or this is just a bargaining chip by NLC?
It is. it is a bargaining chip. It is a bargaining chip. It's not feasible at all because the federal government can't pay.
To the ruling party to send a reminder to the federal government, to send a reminder to Mr. President that look, it is time you do X, Y, Z. After all, this minimum wage was like, you know, enforced properly during its own tenure. Now it's going for the second term, so to speak. If they don't act now, when will they act? After all, they've been able to settle the military personnel, which is great news. Some of the people that maybe now the least civil corporal, whatever, will receive above 100.
Making allegations, why the presidency is also making allegations that NSC is being political, you know, with this agitation, because the timing, we have few months to the presidential election. You know, NSC can really hit the government hard.
Yeah, no, you know, well, all is fair in love and war, according to a particular writer, but you get to realize one thing. Let's take a look at Osun election. Adeleke did something. He gave stipend in addition to what he has given to the workforce, and right now they're saying he's the man. These are political tools, and if Mr. President can cash in it and say, fine, if people say, so we're going to negotiate, we bring it down to a particular sizable level, the workers should have it. What do you think the workforce will do? Who do you think they'll vote for? So it's a political tool for the NLC. It's a political tool for Mr. President. If he can really cash in on this and do the right thing, if he can just, like, you know, woo the workforce by saying, okay, fine, X, Y, Z from now henceforth, 100,000, 150 minimum wage, I'll tell you, the workforce will vote for Mr. President. So as oppositions, like, you know, according to allegations leveled against opposition that they're making it political, he can use it to his own advantage. You can turn it around. All right, so it's okay, fine. People want this. Let's talk about it. Like what Ahmed said, he agreed to really that it's a bargaining chip. It might not be that 500,000 naira, but something just got to give. 70K is not enough. So what are you going to after that 70K to make workers smile? Now that is the next question.
Now, beautiful. Now, when we talk about, you know, I think we should also need to look at it from the standpoint of, you know, trying to look at the sincerity of the whole purpose. I mean, I am talking about a living wage. You know, we're seeing at times it becomes very, very difficult to understand.
Keep talking about living wage, living wage, living. The only way that the workforce in Nigeria can have a living wage is when the economy is better. Even if you are paid 50,000 in a sound economy, 50K will take you a long way. Even if you are given 1 million in a shattered and battered economy, it will take you anywhere. You know why? Inflation will grab a larger chunk of your money. Now, have you ever observed that whenever you have $1 million in your account, if you choose to do what you budgeted with a particular amount of 1 million, it is nothing.
All right, so what we are saying is that rather than the NSC members to even request for minimum wage or living wage, they should challenge the government to make the economy better.
Well, if you take a look at it, to me, it's not even the minimum wage. To me, it's a survival wage. Give us something to survive with, because right now 70K is not enough.
Yeah, but you just said a while ago.
No, you said minimum wage. Now they are working with survival wage.
Yeah,
because for them to go to that living wage you're talking about, they need to survive this season. Because before you fix the economy, it's going to take a while. Now, while fixing the economy, what will you do for the workforce? How are you going to placate them? How are you going to make them not to feel the harsh economic realities? Now, that should be the angle that NSC should be taking a look at it from. Don't say, give us this amount. No, as you are pressuring the government of the day to increase your salaries, you should pressure the government of the day also to fix the economy. Because saying that the GDP has improved, but is it related right now to the masses in Nigeria? They're feeling it. You say we have reserve, it assured, it's gone up. You did this and you did that. They keep saying these things on paper, but are they really seeing it in their lives? Not just paint this picture. Can 30 or 40K take to the market to get everything that you need? The answer is a big no.
Now, when we're talking about fixing the economy now, which aspects of the economy do you think the government can think about? Because all the indices to show whether an economy is balanced or not in Nigeria, okay, we all right now, okay. All right, so all the indices that to show that the economy is balanced in a country, we seem not to have it. I mean, we don't have good infrastructure. Yeah. We don't have good health care. We don't have good transportation and all that. So all these are indices to show that an economy is balanced. Anyway, let me pause you there. We understand that Nathaniel Usamede is one of our guests on the program today, and of course, he's also joining us virtually all the way from Ora in Edo State. Mr. Nathaniel, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning,
welcome.
Evans and Wilson.
Okay. All right.
To be here.
Thank you so much. It's always a delight to have you on our program. I mean, your in-depth knowledge, analysis, and all that. So thanks so much for joining us. All right. So, Mr. Nathaniel, I hope you're still there. All right, so we'll get back to Mr. Nathaniel.
Serious network issues right now, but whenever he...
All right, so Mr. Nathaniel, so please, we want you to react to the agitation that the NSA is putting forward, you know, the minimum wage issue, 500,000 naira as a minimum wage in Nigeria.
Well, first and foremost, the agitation is right. The current economic situation calls for the government to be very realistic and then sympathetic to the plight of all Nigerian workers, because one, the inflation rate, and then the high cost of prices. You know, Nigeria is a place where once prices increases, it goes on a roller coaster. They are never a return to the old prices, even when the economy improves. So they'll continue to gallop. So I think the agitation of the workers is very much in place, because right now people are suffering, and that is because the value of the naira in terms of what the naira buys at the end of the day compared to what people get as minimum wage is very, very low. People spend so much money for very little goods. So I think for the NSC to be agitating for an increase in wages, whether you call it a living wage or minimum wage, it is something that is ideal. And it is timely because we are the threshold of a presidential election. And NSC also is political. And if they don't take advantage of this present time to hold the president and say we need more salary, I doubt if there is a better time to do that. So to me, the agitation is what it. We see people are suffering. I won't tell you that we are living, we are floating. We are floating, barely floating as pensioners, and we rely on those who are still very active, maybe for 1 or 2 financial support. And most of the time, it's not coming. So I think the timing is very, very right, and the agitation is very, very right. People can no longer, take-home pay can no longer take people home. If it takes them to the market, they barely reach home with whatever they are able to get from the market. So I think it is signal.
All right, Nathaniel, you get to realize that if you are talking about, increase in salary, it's like clamoring also for increase in price. Do you think that if workers keep pressuring the government to give them 500,000 naira minimum wage, that can just lead to hyperinflation? And if that is true, how can people that are not in government coffers, so to speak, or in the workforce being catered for by the government survive?
Well, I agree with you 100%. There's no time the government will be able to pay 500,000 naira. It's unrealistic. At this present time, it is unrealistic. Even though there are so many leakages in the economy, as per what is supposed to be accruing to the federal government, that should have assisted it in increased GDP and then having more money for projects, capital development, and then welfare of the people. It's unrealistic. There will definitely be hyperinflation. But you see, government has a duty also to bring all the revenue into the basket. You see, every time I look at what is happening in places like Zamfara, Kwara, and the rest of them, where very, very, very important minerals, minerals that are very high on the price index in the global market, are being squandered, are being mined by illegal miners, supported by high-placed Nigerians. You know, I weep. Because if the revenue from what do you call it, plutonium and others that are being mined and ferried away gold are brought into the revenue basket of the federal government, you discover that government will have more money to do most of these things. So to me, 500,000 naira might not be given to the average Nigerian workers. We all know that it is unrealistic. But at least compared to what is happening right now, demands an increase, calls for an increase. So government should be able to determine, what is ideal, put into consideration the market forces. And the problem here, one of the problems we have in this country is that when things like this are going on, you don't see Nigerian economists coming up to compute figures based on the economic circumstances. They don't compute figures and come out with a formula that will be ideal for the contemporary economy which we are all experiencing in this country. Whether you are a worker, at least a parent or whatever, the sources of income to the family is mostly from salaries, apart from those who are doing businesses. So if our economists are helping, our statistics office are helping, they will be able to determine, based on the prevailing economic situation, on what is ideal at this material time, and then make a projection for the next 1 year, what the economy will be, so that whatever they are recommending will be able to take care of this present time and 1 year ahead. Because revenue salary should be reviewed. It depends on the prevailing economic situation, depending on where we are. It could be every year, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. So that is the way I see it.
Yeah. All right. So we're still expecting Igariba,
to join us on the show.
When we have him, we'll take him, on more questions. Now, Mr. Osamede, before you came on board, Winston and I were trying to really ask the question, what the workers should really request for. I mean, we have the issue of minimum wage, which is an age-long agitation, from workers in Nigeria. But very recently, we've seen a situation whereby, some workers are actually requesting for living wage. Why some say instead of request for living wage, why don't we, engage the government to make the economy better, for Nigerians? So from your own perspective, what do you think Nigerian workers should actually request for?
A while ago, I heard Winston talk about survival wage, that workers should. And that is one beautiful thing about this country. In our social interactions, in the socio-political milieu, a lot of new words are always coined up. New lexicons come up. Now, survival wage, living wage, minimum wage. What is it? The bottom line there is that they are all wages. I think survival wage, Nigeria should be in the mode of survival wage, not in minimum wage right now. Because survival is tough. It is tough to survive this present economy. That is the truth of the matter. There is no denying it. I was talking to a highly placed Nigerian this morning. People you will not expect them to complain. And when the issue came down to money, the reaction I got from him was so much. It was funny. I even had to deny myself of certain things. And I said, okay, you know what? If it is because of this, you don't want to do this, forget my side of the story. But I think you have to do this because it's important. So workers should demand for a wage that will be enough for them to be able to provide the basic necessities for their families. We are talking of a wage that will be enough to put food on the table, pay school fees, pay house rent, buy fuel in the car, maintain the car, and the other sundry expenses. One should be able to take a bottle of soft drink. Somebody should be able to go to the supermarket, take some snacks, buy some snacks home. You occasionally, you begin to exercise your palate with them. So Nigerian workers deserve a wage. An increase in the current 70,000 naira that is approved by the federal government, because it's an abysmal amount when you consider what it takes home. A paper bag, that 70,000 naira might not fill a backpack bag of 200 naira when you take it to the market. So there is hunger. Prices are high. Petroleum is high. Gasoline is high. And most of our trucks who ferry these goods from the areas of production to the commercial areas, they run on gasoline. And those who are doing into business must calculate or compute the cost of gasoline into the cost of the prices, into the cost of goods before they make their own profit. The house rent has gone up. Transportation within the city has gone up. You know, basic things, the prices of basic things have gone up. So the government is a compulsion at this particular time that the government has to look into what the average Nigerian workers take home. It is very, very important. It is critical. It is crucial. It is fundamental to our survival and to the survival of the workers. So I think they should be agitating for, well, I will call it a minimum wage or survival wage, like Wilson said. Because that is, the take-home pay will not take them home, but at least it should be able to cushion the galloping inflation effect on the workers' force. And then the standard of living. People are not feeding well because they cannot afford what they should eat. They only eat what they can afford, not what they should eat. And that is a delicate situation because it affects the social welfare, the social well-being, the physical well-being of the average Nigerian workers. When you don't eat what you are supposed to eat, you eat only what your money can buy. I no wonder diabetes is everywhere because it's carbohydrate. You know, and then people are down with high blood pressure because they're always thinking, cracking their head. People are under pressure. People don't sleep well at night again. Apart from your busy engagement with him, I doubt if you can sleep 8 hours in a day, which is supposed to be. Because for the next 2 hours, you are thinking of how your wife will go to the market the next day. So I think the government should come forth with something.
We'll come back to you, Nathaniel. Now, let's move on to Ahmed Iwaike. Now, some of the opinion that the reason why Nigerians are suffering this much is because of the removal of fuel subsidy. Now, since we have a private refinery in Nigeria, if they can bring down the price of petroleum, that would be the first step in reshaping our economy positive, and it might just be enough to allow workers to survive within the ambient of the minimum wage. What do you have to say about that, Ahmed?
You are very correct, Mr. Wixon, and that is the solution, and that is the way to go. Because since the advent of the increase of the fuel, that has increased suffering within the country. Because even as before now, as a civil servant, currently I'm a civil servant, what I was taking home as at that time when the fuel was around 168,000 naira, 168 naira, it was enough for you to fuel your car and also do some basic amenities at home. But as I speak right now, in fact, most times I enter the public transport because of the fact I cannot fuel my car. If I choose to fuel my car, my salary cannot even fuel my car for 30 or for 22 working days in a month. So the first step of helping the situation is reducing that fuel price. We are not even saying the fuel price should go back to 168 naira, no. But at least we are looking around the range of 400 to 500 naira. That will also cushion some issues. Because if the fuel price is reduced, then the prices of goods and services will also be reduced. Now, for example, you are paying for an hotel. Do you know the hotel rooms that usually were 5,000, 10,000, this case may be? They are telling you they are 15, 20, 25 as the case may be because they run on diesel. And when you actually consider them, you want to actually look at it very well. You consider that, yes, that's the fact. Because they have to run on diesel because we are not able to guarantee of stable power. In fact, there's no stable power, for God's sake. Now they have to run on diesel. All these things are all there. So the first point of call in helping the economy is the fuel. If the fuel can be taken good care of, the prices is reduced, then things will start going away. Even if you are paying somebody 50,000 naira minimum wage and the fuel price is like 168 naira, that one will go a long way in the person's life. But now that the fuel price is 1,128 naira, even if you are paying somebody 150,000 naira as minimum wage, it will still not be enough. So the NLC should not be fighting for only minimum wage of 500,000. Should be fighting of how the economy should be okay for the low income earners. Because if you check it very well, the rich class in Nigeria is no more, but the poor rate or the poor class are more than the rich class in this country. So you should be looking about things that will reduce or that will make the economy better and reduce the suffering. Not just the minimum wage. If you decide to say, okay, 500,000 naira minimum wage, how many parents are civil servants? We are saying we are about 200 million Nigerians, as the case may be. Some are saying 200 or something million, some are saying 180 million. We don't even have the correct statistics of the current population of Nigeria. How many population in this 180 or 200 million are civil servants? Are you going to tell me that the private sector will be able to pay that amount of money? The answer is no. Are you going to tell me the POS owner is going to pay about that amount of money? The answer is no. Are you going to say somebody who owns a restaurant will pay the worker, 500,000 naira a month as minimum wage? The answer is no. It's only the federal government workers or probably the state workers that can pay that minimum wage. And how many persons are these civil servants that we're calling on? Right? So we shouldn't be talking about minimum wage correctly right now. We should be talking about the economy, how the economy can be so easy for the low income earners, the poor people, the farmers, the artisans, the vulcanizer, how the economy will be comfortable for them, that the 1 naira they are earning on the street will be sufficient for them to feed. That should be the fight of the NLC, if I may say. Because the idea of 500,000 naira minimum wage, even if the federal government approves this today, the situation of the country will still not be improved. Only the federal government workers will be happy. How many places are the federal government workers? So they should look at the economy, things that will make the economy better. And one of the best things is the energy, which is the fuel. They should tackle that fuel issue. The price is still too much for a crude oil country like Nigeria. We have this crude oil in our backyard, and we can't still afford to be paying this high rate for fueling. I wish we don't even have the crude oil in our backyard. Then that would have been a different ballgame. We have the crude oil in our backyard. How can we still be buying this fuel in this very high rate? What we have, we are paying a high rate for it. What of the things we don't even have? So these are like things that we have God have given to us as a blessing. They should have been very, very cheap for us. And then the one you export out of the country, those ones can buy it at a very high rate because you exported them. But the ones we have in our backyard should be cheap for us to use because we have this. Even in Borno right now have oil. Not only the southern people that have oil here right now, even the northern people have oil. So we cannot be having this crude oil in our backyard. And still, the fuel rate is still very, very high. Once the fuel is reduced, honestly, we can regulate the whole system of economy.
Yeah, beautiful. Mr. Yaraba, beautiful. Now, let's turn over to Osamede now, Nathaniel. Now, I want you to react to the way politicians, have reacted to the 70,000 naira minimum wage. Now, when that was passed into law about 3 years ago, we understand that the Kebbi State government was first to make a addition of 5,000 naira. While the federal government settled for 70,000 naira, the Kebbi State government, settled for 75,000 naira. Then we also had other states government, take for example, Lagos State settled for 104,000 naira. Then here in Edo State, I think we've also seen a situation whereby
there was an addition also, to the minimum wage.
Added something and all that. Now, you see that politicians across different states, they've reacted to this 70,000 naira minimum wage, politically. I should say that way now. And hence, we're talking about an economy that runs through the whole country. Osamede Nathaniel, I want you to react to this.
Well, Wilson, the beauty of federalism, Evans, the beauty of federalism is the autonomy enjoyed by each of the federating states. They decide their economy, they decide what to produce. They pursue the economic well-being of their state, and then they go into financial investment or into capital projects that will enhance the revenue that is coming to the state. You see, everybody going to Abuja with cap in hand to beg has kind of brought about the practice of federalism in Nigeria, something that is, I would say, is quite unpalatable, because if every state is engaged in productive activities and then the states are able to finance their budget, they will be able to determine what to give to workers. Some states are lazy, and you agree with me that across board, the economy is not the same all over. Like those people in Lagos are under serious pressure. You have more pressure on people in Lagos in terms of the social cost of living than those who are in Benin, than those who are in Zamfara. And again, come to look at it, what is the population? Like Mr. Raike was talking about, what is the population of the employed persons in this country? What is the number? When you say 500,000 naira, 70,000 naira, somebody's paying 75, it might sound gratifying, but what is the percentage of workers in that state? How many persons are in government employment vis-a-vis the totality of the population? How many of these people in government employment are pensioners, who seems to get about 1/3 or 1/5 of their former income? So the issue is, government should be able to come up with a lot of encouragement to states to finance their economy independently, and then be able to determine how much they will pay their worker.
All right.
Depending on the population of the workforce in that state, and other activities that the government has to take to get involved with. So
thank you so much, Nathaniel. We know you have so much to talk about. We're pressed for time right now.
We're already getting feelers that Abuja is ready. Nathaniel, thank you so much for joining us on the issue this morning. Now, the NSC has requested that they don't want confrontation from government. All they want is, some kind of constructive engagement, or else they are ready to down tools for the government and all that. All right, so that's it. So let's see what happens in the next, couple of days and months, even as we prepare for the next presidential election. Now, we'll take a short pause so that we join to Lokbe in Abuja for their segment.
And welcome to Abuja studio right here as we continue the conversation on This Morning on ITV. In the light of recent things happening across the country, the campaign, the elections, the youth being the fulcrum of all these things. And one major thing is must also not forget is that today also happens to be International Youth Day. There are issues concerning youth will definitely be discussed, and that's why it's important to put into consideration what is really happening across the country. It's important we take a critical look at that. Put into consideration that the youth contribute the vast population of Nigeria right there. And joining me this morning to take a look at this is no other person than Reverend Salisu Waziri, who is the coordinator National Drug Desk of United Methodist Church in Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's wonderful to be in your station on this very August occasion, which happens to be the International Youth Day.
You are coming at a time, I don't know whether I should classify you as a youth, because it gets confusing a little bit, or maybe you are young, more older than
I'm actually a young person, I'm a youth.
Okay, but looking at it right there, what do you think the International Youth Day means for a young Nigerian?
Well, the International Youth Day is a day set aside to talk about the challenges that is affecting young people globally, and it was first celebrated in the year 2000, and this is the 26th edition of the celebration. And you will agree with me that young people constitute the large number of the people globally in the world. So we feel there are a lot of challenges that affect young people. So 12th of August every year has been set aside to talk about issues affecting young people, talking about unemployment, drug abuse, lack of opportunities, brain drain, and a lot of challenges that are affecting young people, especially in our continent, Africa. We have a vast majority of young people cut across different countries within the African continent who are not given the enough opportunity, and that's why you see there are a lot of people who want to jackpot, that want to travel out of Africa to other continents to search for greener pasture. And this is why we need to come and talk about things that are affecting young people. I think when we put that out there, government officials, key decision makers, we begin to see this in the limelight and begin to take concrete actions towards what will help to boost the opportunities of young people within Africa and even Nigeria to be specific, so that our young people don't have to die in Libya or don't have to die in Morocco trying to cross over to Europe. A lot of people die trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea in search of greener pasture. And that's because there are no opportunities down here. Although there might be opportunities, but they are not exposed to them. So they feel the greener pasture is when they travel out of the country. And that is why a lot of people will rather go through the desert, go through the sea in a high-risk condition just to make sure that they cross over to the other side. And I tell you, the story has now been good. And so that is why we are here today to talk about the things that are affecting the young people, so that government will begin to put in policies that will help to make the young people feel among, have more opportunities and stay back home. Tell me, we have a lot of young people in Nigeria alone that are very, very intelligent, that are agile. In fact, the human capacity of Nigerians, if we put them anywhere, they can stand. And that is why when they go abroad, they do well because they have something to offer. And that is why we want the government to bring in this brain down here, make the opportunities available, so these people don't have to go there. So they can deploy what they have in-house, and then we'll build a greater nation.
You said something in the course of this conversation you're making earlier. You talked about Jackpot syndrome, you talked about the brain drain, and one other thing you also mentioned, which is also critical, and it's ravaging the length and breadth of this country, is also drug abuse.
Exactly.
Do you think it's one of the biggest challenges facing our Nigerian youth?
Yes, drug abuse is one of the major issues facing the Nigerian youth. In fact, African youth. According to the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, and this research was done in 2018, there are about 14.3 million Nigerians who are abusing drugs or are into substance abuse. And 65% of this population are young people. And 14.3 million Nigerians is equivalent to 3 times the number of people in Liberia, the whole number of people in Liberia, because Liberia is about 5 million people thereabout. Is 2 times the number of people, the whole people in Syria alone, because in Syria alone there are about 8-point-something million people. So this number, imagine these 2 countries, have everybody in this country, is in drugs. Imagine everybody in Liberia is in drugs. So you know the number is very, very high. And so that is why we as the church, I belong to the United Methodist Church in Nigeria, we felt that the government alone cannot fight this drug abuse. That is why the church is coming into the play to champion the fight against drug abuse. And so today, being the 12th of August 2026, we have decided to use this day to promote the cause of drug abuse prevention in Nigeria. The number is increasing. This number is, this research is done, this study is done 2018. And this is about some years
almost like 8 years later.
So I want to believe that figure has either increased or doubled because of the level of drug abuse that is happening in our country. The porous borders, the cartels, innovations. I think you see these things happening on social media, where you see hard-working person who is into drugs will become useless because drug drains you. It makes you not fit to work in the society. There are a lot of vices that are attached to drugs. People who are into drugs will definitely go into crime.
Okay, just to bust you in a little bit, you said something about social media and the like, and why we're talking about it, and you're talking about what we've seen instances where those who are supposed to be seen as role models, the likes of Davido, Wizkid, seeing them smoking, abusing drugs live on social media. Does that also have a huge influence on the volume or the increase in the number of our youth going to this?
Yes, I think it has a lot of influence because the celebrities are more like a role model to the young people in the society.
Yeah.
And so that is why I think the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission needs to come into play.
Yeah.
We need to censor some of the content that is being published on social media and even on our videos and terrestrials.
Yeah.
We need to caution the people who dish out this content. You cannot be smoking weed on national TV or on your video promoting it in Nigeria. The young guy who is liking your style feels that if he does not smoke, he's not meeting up to your standard. So they will go into it. So that is where I think the government needs to come into play to censor some of this content so that they don't allow this influence to come down to our society. It's really affecting the young people. You see, those people who go into music fields, you can't do good music without smoking, but that's not true. There are a lot of people who have produced good songs without being addicts or smoking or showing drugs. And so we need to really censor some of these things so that our young people that are coming up will pick up the right values, and that is where the church comes in. We in the United Methodist Church, our mission is to make disciples for Jesus Christ, for the transformation of the world. We don't just preach the gospel, we teach the people biblical values and moral standards that will make them stand out so that they don't participate in what they see on social media or television.
Now that you mentioned church, it takes me back to what it used to be in yesteryears, where the church used to play a major role in really sensitizing the society, trying to raise upright members of the society. But these days, it seems this role is becoming so complicated. You talked about the church. When you put into consideration what the NDLEA is doing right now, do you think there should be a collaboration to really help? Because the first area contact for the children, for the youth, also happens to be church or probably the mosque.
Exactly.
How do we have a collaboration that can help to mitigate against the rising number of our youth being engaged in this drug abuse?
Yeah, that's a very beautiful question because, you know, in Nigeria, the people who have the responsibility to talk about drugs is the National Drug Law and Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. And so far, today, we are having a work against drug abuse, and we are working together with the NDLEA, who are coming to be teaching us and telling us what to know about drug abuse or drug substance. And so I want to encourage churches, different denominations, to get into this fight against drug abuse by engaging the NDLEA. And the NDLEA too should not wait until the church comes into to their office to ask.
See collaboration,
There are a lot of churches that have national convention. Let's talk about the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the Winners Chapel. They usually have their annual convention, and they have large number of people who gather in this convention. If the NDLEA can be incorporated in those planning arrangements and have a section where they can talk about drug abuse and substance abuse, I think it will go a long way to reduce the number of people who abuse drugs. This number is increasing on a daily basis. We cannot count the number of young people who have dropped out of schools, who have dropped out of their job, who cannot be employed because they are addicted. You know, this is a serious challenge. If we don't handle these issues now, before 2030, it is projected that we'll be having about 50 million people who are into drugs. And that is a large percentage of the population of Nigeria. And that is why we as a church I have to say this, I have a bishop, his name is Bishop Andy Emmanuel. He's a young person. He just got elected, and one of his cardinal focus is to see that drug abuse is reduced to the barest minimum in Nigeria. And that is why he is putting, making sure that all things are put in place to ensure that we campaign against drug abuse, and that is what we are doing.
If I put this to you right now, that if you have the opportunity of advising President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on what policy will you be advising on?
Well, if I'm to be given the opportunity to talk to Mr. President this morning, I will seek his consent to speak with the National Assembly to make policies that will really checkmate the issue of drug abuse. By forming policies, I mean that people who are caught in drug promotion, a cartel, because this is a huge business.
Yes.
Before you can import some drugs to this country, you must have some level of connections, because some of these drugs are not produced here in this country. They are imported. And before you can come in, bring a drug into this country, you must have a long connection. So people who are found or into drugs should have capital punishment, like it is done in other countries, where there are capital punishments on drug abuse or drug pushers. We need to make sure that we set an example. So the president gives the National Assembly the directive or issue an executive bill so that they will have a capital punishment of people who are into drugs. This cartel, they are highly placed people. You'll be surprised the number of people who are pushing drugs in this country. They're all big guys that drive.
There's no small person can just lay.
It's mostly at drugs money. And so if we have capital punishment on these issues, I'm telling you, it will be reduced to the barest minimum.
Before I let you go, what gives you the greatest hope about Nigerian youth?
Well, I know the average Nigerian youth has tenacity in his heart. We don't give up easily. We are fighters. We don't give up. We have the potential in us. An average Nigerian man is a young person is very strong in heart, and he can adapt to every situation. So I have this confidence and belief that in the nearest future, with the right mindset, with the right teachings, with the right advocacy, there will be a transformation in this country. Time will come. The young person in Nigeria will be the president of this country. We'll have people who are young that will take over the leadership of this country. We have this President Macron, young person in France. We have the president of Senegal, young person. So it's time, I believe in the nearest future, we'll have young people who will be at the helm of affairs in this country, and things will change really drastically.
If you return to this conversation on International Youth Day next year, what major change would you like to see in Nigerian youth landscape?
Well, I like to see people who are determined to make the difference. You know, since we are making an advocacy today, say stay away from drugs, say no to drugs, drug abuse. I want to see young people who are passionate to change their life, to make a meaning out of their life. We have a future to protect. When I come, I'll be able to tell you some good stories of the testimonies that we have been able to achieve because of this campaign. I need to say this on camera. Early this year, I was in Liberia, and the case of Liberia is so precarious, is pitiful, because young people in Liberia who are into drugs don't stay in the community. They stay in the graveyards. That's where they live. They call themselves friends of the dead. And that is why we want to see not just Nigeria being delivered from drug abuse, but also the West African region be delivered from drug abuse.
I must say big thank you to you, Reverend Salisu Waziri, for joining us this morning on International Youth Day to raise awareness of the importance of the danger of drug abuse, and also millions of Nigerian youth being affected by this. And I think it's just right on point, because when you put into consideration what is happening across the length and breadth of this country, you see vast population being involved in drug abuse. Let's hope this awareness can really help, and let's hope there could be collaboration between the church and the NDLA to see how we can take this message down to the grassroots. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So much from the Abuja studio right there. We'll be linking up with our Lagos studio as This Morning on ITV continues.
TV, certainly the best.
The land of Onwa is inhabited by the people with common ancestry, language, religion, economic and socio-political ties. However, irrespective of their subtitle differences in language and culture, they share common traditions. The people are known for their hospitality. Onwa traced their origin to Benin Kingdom. As a result, for a man to find a comfortable place for living. The name Onwa was derived from the largest and longest river in the area, which is known as Onwian or Onwa. It means one who makes merry in affluence.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Thank you so much. The program's still on your television. Now we're going to be joining Mercy co-anchor in Lagos, where we're going to be talking about the Osun election. That's just about a few hours from now, about 20, but approximately 60 hours, from now before Osun election. That's on the 15th. That's on Saturday. Now, listen, we have various information as it relates to Osun election.
Yeah, and I believe that Mercy should take it up from there. Mercy, can you hear us, Mercy?
You, Wilson and Evans. Okay, but basically we are not talking about the Osun election. I know it's closer, but we're talking about 2027 election in general. The fact that INEC already had their list and the date is close. And APC, they uploaded their candidate list before the deadline. And what they've been saying is, oh, we did this before the deadline. Does it give APC the edge? And another conversation we're also going to be having is the fact that we saw the whole coalition first, at first, the all ADC coalition, Atiku Obi, where Peter Obi later defected to NDC. But now they're meeting again August 18th, in presence of Atiku, Obi, and some other persons, Shea Makinde. They're also meeting August 18th. And some persons are like, okay, are they going to start talking about this whole coalition thing again, or how to unseat the president and all of that? And of course, our guests will definitely join us soon. Wilson, let's get to hear you.
All right, they're talking about APC beating the deadline and all that. You get to realize that it's all about politics. And now we have these, injunctions or jurisprudence about some parties going to court to kind of, counter what have been told that they just cannot, bring up a candidate because of internal party wrangling. That seems to have been affecting some other political parties. But we are waiting for what will happen, what will be the decision of INEC. Remember, ADC Evans had issues. Yeah. NDC, they had issues about their candidates, and right now APC was able to beat the deadline. The question now is, all the political parties are able to beat their deadline. What is their fate? Now, like you said, that has been a story of intra-party squabbles and also inter-party squabbles, and in the middle of it all has been INEC. INEC has been the body that all parties have been accusing, talking about delisting some of the parties from the voters, the next year's election and all that. Now, one thing that stands clear is that it is all politics, politics, and the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, it's at the middle of it all, because there's no way that people will not blame the APC.
Evans, you say that at the middle of it all, come on, you're just laying allegation against the APC.
I said I did not say I am blaming APC.
I would have been shocked.
I'm relying on what the reaction, most times we call guests on this program, and we hear their reactions and all of that.
And APC guests also, so to speak, they've been debunking these allegations. They have nothing to do with it.
So that's it. So, I mean, a situation whereby some of these parties have also been accused that they are more or less playing the devil's advocate, trying to, scatter, destroy. I mean, what would you take of the Minister of the FCT?
Anyway, Mercy, now, Evans just raised a very strong point about the Minister of the FCT. He isn't hiding it. He said it's going to be APC all the way, like an adage in our own clan that they all cried at night, the child died in the morning. Does not mean that the APC are the ones behind the scene pulling the strings. Mercy, I don't keep on wondering what you have to say about this. Though you're still expecting your guests to come throw more light on this as an anchor.
Yeah, and our guest is actually around.
Yes.
Our guest is actually around. they'll say this thing at first, oh, we're not going to defect, we're not going to defect. You know, later on they defect. I'm not saying he would defect or he might defect. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Anyway, thank you so much, Evans and Wilson from our Benin studio. And of course, our guest is here that would help us unpack today's conversation. Dakpo Adaramewa is a governance consultant, a spokesperson, and the Obedience Movement. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, today we would be talking about 2027 elections. INEC candidate list closes. What does it mean for Nigeria political battles? I mean, we saw that the APC, especially, you know, they came out to say that, oh, we uploaded before the deadline. With the 2027 general election drawing closer, Nigeria's political landscape is entering another crucial phase. INEC's deadline for political parties to upload their candidates has been closed, with major parties submitting their candidates for the election. But the big question is, what happened next? Will the submitted names trigger fresh controversies, legal battles, and internal party disputes? And more importantly, are these parties truly prepared to face Nigerians at the polls? You know, today we'll talk about the next phase of the 2027 general election journey and what INEC's candidates list means for Nigerian political polls. Mr. Dakpo Adaramewa, I want us to talk, now that INEC has uploaded the candidates, INEC candidates uploaded deadline has been closed. What does this mean for Nigerians' 2027 electoral process?
It means that Nigerians know exactly what's coming.
Okay.
Right? You know, we tend to focus on the big names, the presidency, the governorship. Nobody really pays attention to the smaller roles. Let's not even say smaller. There's roles within the legislature at both the federal and the state level. So now that all of that has been cleared up, the Nigerian people can now start thinking to themselves, who do I want to be my House of Rep member? Who do I want to be my state House of Assembly member? And then make their decision, because, you know, Nigerians need to understand that it's not, you know, you don't have to vote the same party all through. You know, so people can vote based on the candidate themselves. And so it's going to be interesting now that we have the names and see what the Nigerian people decide.
Well, also the APC, you know, they say they demonstrated organization strength by completing its submission early. Is this like an advantage going to 2027 for the APC? For them, I mean, now they're like, oh, we submitted ours before the deadline. So is this going to be like an advantage for them?
I mean, it's definitely laudable. They deserve some compliments regards to early submission. The question is, how did that translate to the lives of Nigerians over the past 4 years? I wish that skill set had been deployed over the last 4 years in a way that the Nigerian people would have benefited from, but I don't think that was the case. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that relevant.
So this question I want to ask, I know you definitely support your party, I mean, Obedient Movement and all of that. With PDP, APC, ADC, NDC submitting candidates, which of these parties appear best positions for the election at this stage, this point in time?
There's only one candidate that I know.
I saw that comment.
That has a track record of the earnest honesty and dedication to the people that we need at this point. So based on that alone, I would say he has, and I'm talking obviously about Peter Obi.
Peter Obi?
Yeah.
Just him or nothing?
Well, definitely, just him or nothing.
Okay, interesting. All right. But I don't know, all this, you know, they are going a meeting soon. Peter Obi, Atiku, Shea Makinde, and some other persons. Yes. They would be meeting soon, August 18th this month. You know, to talk about, I don't know, are we looking at another coalition thing? Because at this point, them coming together to like have a meeting, you know, to see how they can, because at this point, they want to unseat the ruling party.
Yes.
The president, the incumbent president. Well, are we seeing another coalition here, knowing fully well that the first one that happened, it didn't work out. I mean, Peter Obi had to defect to the NDC, citing that ADC has a lot of court issues and all of that. But now that they are coming together again, even though the APC has said they are wasting their time, but now these persons, they are coming together. So are we seeing another coalition kind of thing happening again?
Definitely, that is the goal. That is the objective. And I think that would be beneficial to all parties and beneficial to Nigerians as well. But, you know, we're still early stages yet, but at least it shows the direction that, you know, the candidates of the deputies are willing to have a conversation about what is best for the country, which is, you know, definitely a lot better than I would say APC is doing right now.
I had a guest yesterday. You know, I don't know, but let me just say this. Was it yesterday? He was, maybe because according to him, he would not agree that he's supporting the ruling party, APC, but he was all like, oh, the economy is moving gradually. It was all about the ruling party. But now, I know different persons with their party. You're supporting the NDC, he's supporting the APC. Of course, he would definitely say good of his party, and you would say good of your party. Because
I hope one day you'll get us to sit opposite each other and discuss this issue.
Okay. So you guys want to
have a debate, have a conversation.
Interesting. You know, him saying all of this yesterday just made me. I asked him a question like, I mean, we're in Nigeria. I'm not saying I'm in this side or I'm supporting this party or I'm supporting this other party. It makes me to realize that you see efforts happening, and you said, oh, the economy is working. The first thing the president did when he came into power was to remove fuel subsidy, and that's a good one. And you know, I got to ask him, okay, removing the fuel subsidy, what are they using the money for? And I mean, he kept defending, explaining, saying we should give the president a second chance. Don't you think our president deserves a second chance? Maybe to make things right, according to people like you.
It's if you went to a hospital and you had malaria and the doctor treated you for stomach ache and somebody came to you and said, your head is spinning, you go back to that doctor, give him a second chance. Would you go back?
Never.
You see, there are some things in life that are too crucial for us to do, let's give somebody a second chance. I'm all for second chances. I believe in them. But there are some matters that are too fundamental, too crucial, matters that affect the lives and the quality of lives of so many people and have cost lives, you know, that we cannot afford to give people a chance, right? You know, a second chance, shall we say. So I would always push for the Nigerian people to try a different person to vote for His Excellency Peter Obi. And then after that, we'll see what happens. You know, we can then make a decision again. Do you understand? So we've tried this. We've tried APC for 8 years, and then we tried it for another 4, you know, so that was the second chance. The second chance was Buhari's second term. The third chance was Tinubu's first term. You know, you would have to be a glutton for punishment for you to go for a fourth time.
Interesting. So Obi has said that he's coming out for one term, but after 4 years, you know, he would hand over power to the next person. How true do you believe that?
I think definitely he will. You see, Nigeria, unfortunately, is not yet a nation. We are developing into a nation. Right now, we are just an amalgamation of different ethnicities or sub-nationalities, if you will. And so it is very important that, you know, there's balance in power, right? And then there's representation from different regions. And we have a good system of north and the south, and the north and the south. And it's so beautiful, and we need to keep it that way. When we get to the level where our identity as Nigerians is more important than our subnational identities, our tribal identities, then we can, you know, can let go of it. Even the balance between Christian and Muslim, I think, is very important. I think we've seen disastrous impacts in terms of what has happened since we let go of that. You know, cardinals being abused, you know, so many wrongs. I mean, imams being allowed in front of a sitting governor to insult and ridicule the entire Christian South. I think, you know, these are things that might not have happened if we had had a balanced ticket in APC. So I think it's time for people to wake up to the reality, to the demands of balance within the country. And so, yes, Peter Obi's one term is beautiful and it keeps that balance. And then maybe after we've had somebody else serve for 8 years, we can re-talk about Peter Obi coming again for the second term.
Interesting. Okay, don't you think, let's talk about this Osun election. You know, it's just by the corner here. And the campaigning has started, and we've been seeing what has been happening, violence, killings. Even the senator came out yesterday to say that, you know, any members you see, you kill them. According to him, you won't like them. He said he didn't mean it that way, that it meant if you, you know, kill them with your votes. That's what he said. Even though we saw that the governor of Osun State has called for his arrest, you know, that they should arrest, to come out to say such a thing. You know, don't you think with this all Osun State's campaigning election, governorship election, I mean, it's don't you think it's giving us an insight of how the 2027 election is going to be? Just, this is the governorship election, Osun State governorship election, and of course we're seeing all of this. What about the presidential 2027 election?
I think it's very unfortunate when politicians think that violence is the way to go. Because anybody that looks across the world understands there are some countries that violence dominates their elections, and it's not a good time. I know that recently, I think was it Jamaica? There was you know, a country, an island country that had a gang, not a military force, a gang take over parts of the country. Like, they literally blocked the road. Why? Because they had been empowered by the political class during elections, and they had the tools and the weapons for violence. But I don't think that, you know, that is a cause for concern for the Nigerian people when we are talking about the general election. Now we have, you know, one state, and they were able to focus their energy on that. But I think when we get to the presidential election, when we get to the large-scale elections, there's not going to be that focusing of attention. Everything is spread across thin. Even the actors that want to, you know, shall we say, push for violence, they are spread out thin. And let's be honest with ourselves. The people who are doing these acts of violence, right, they're not plenty. In comparison, you know, in comparison to the people who are in the state, right? There's this saying that if you have one bullet, you can control 1,000 people, because nobody wants to collect that one bullet. I think the people need to understand that that's not how it should work. We need to stop letting go of our country and the future of our children to people who think they can, you know, enact acts of violence. We are all human, fundamentally. Everybody is human, and we are here by the grace of God. And so anybody that thinks he's going to, you know, scare the people of Osun State, the people of Osun State should defend themselves. You know, they should execute their constitutional rights to defend themselves with whatever they can.
Yeah, the governor just called for his arrest.
Yeah, I mean, they should defend themselves wherever they can lay their hands on. And anybody that is going around calling for people to kill other people should really be arrested.
According to him, he said that's not what he meant.
Oh, he meant they should kill them with votes.
Then
maybe we should kill him with votes as well, you know? It's people are just careless with their words, and, you know, particularly leaders who don't understand the impact that their words can have on the people are a very dangerous set of people. And I would love to see the quick action, you know, that we see when somebody tweets something that offends the president. You know, one small boy tweets something and then the DSS pick him up somewhere. Why don't they pick up this person who is calling for violence and murder in the streets? Why don't they invite him? After questioning, he can explain to the policeman what he meant, killing them with love, killing them with votes, whatever it is that he's talking about. First arrest him, so that we know there's balance and fairness in this society.
Okay, they should first arrest them.
And lock him up first. Okay,
interesting. Let's talk about the opposition realistically presents. Do you think it can present a strong alternative to the APC, or internal division such a major obstacle at this point?
Definitely, they can present, you know, a united front. What it would take is people sacrificing their ego and personal ambition.
Okay.
And I call on all our leaders to be willing to do that. You know, people give the president a hard time, obviously, because his government hasn't delivered. But when we look at the formation of the APC, what was clear was that Tinubu actually wanted to be the vice president of Buhari. A lot of people don't know that. But in the interest of the party, he was able to shelve that ambition. And so I would call on other members of the opposition to shelve their ambition so that Peter Obi can go. It's only 4 years, and then you guys can then have your opportunity.
We all know, that Atiku don't want to step aside for Peter Obi.
I think
but that's why I'm a bit
prudent for him to do so.
That's why I'm a bit surprised that they are meeting. Because if they are meeting to discuss on how to unseat the president, they should be meeting to agree on picking one particular candidate, which we all know that it will be difficult. Because at this point, Atiku, he has been contesting for a very long time. Aside being the vice president, he has been contesting for a very long time. So I feel at this point, they feel, I need to be president. And Peter Obi, on the other hand, I do not think he would want to be vice president to anyone. He wants to be president. Don't you think it's going to be difficult?
Do you know that, funny enough, I believe that if Peter Obi felt that him stepping down would be for the betterment of the country, he would do that in a heartbeat. But the truth is, him stepping down would not benefit the country because he's the leader that we need right now. And the only person that can tell us if, Atiku will step down is himself. Right? It's only him that can decide. And so we must go into this engagement with an open heart and, let's see how things work out. And hopefully it works out for the best.
So completing the upload on 1,000 demonstrates that a political party is truly prepared for 2027 election.
No. You see, I, for one, am not afraid to accept when somebody does something right. Okay. Right. So the APC did a phenomenal job by submitting their candidates list early. The APC has done a good job politically by, bringing all the governors. But what we might, as much as that is true, so it is true that the Nigerian people have paid and have been impoverished under this APC government. Those two things can be true at the same time. But sometimes we take one stance and we're like, oh, we must lie that what is happening is happening. That's good. You submitted your list early. Fantastic. The Nigerian people are poorer than they ever have been. The average wage is not enough to carry people through the month. People no longer eat meat. Even eggs is a luxury item that is cut in the middle for family members. So we must be able to admit where things are going wrong and admit where things are going right. And so what the Nigerian people need to ask themselves is that which is more important to them? That the party can submit its candidates early, or that the party is very good at influencing political leaders to join them, or that the party is delivering on the dividends of democracy, that they have enough money to pay transport to go to work and back, and that the money they earn at the end of the month can buy them enough food, and that at the end of the month, even if it's 10,000 naira, they can keep just in case anything happens in future. For me, what is more important is the well-being of the average man. You can throw, in the words of somebody very intelligent, this one thinks in our statistics we will chop. So them brandishing all these statistics is who cares? Are people doing better now than they were at the start of this government? The answer is no. So no be statistics we go chop.
Okay, let's talk about vote buying. Even though campaigning has not started for the presidential election, but we've been seeing views on social medias. Let's talk about vote buying. There's a video I saw, they attached the sticker of the person contesting on the bread, and they were sharing the bread for people. And some persons were like, is this how, they've belittled Nigerians to the extent that it is bread they are sharing. I mean, we see rice, we see different things, them sharing different things, attach the poster, the picture of the person contesting on the item, to vote, share it to the people. I mean, hunger is in the land, poverty is in, people are suffering. Even average Nigerians, most cannot even afford 3 square meals. Most persons cannot afford 2 square meals a day. People are suffering. And you see somebody that have not eaten since morning, for instance, and some people that are campaigning come to that environment, sharing items, do you expect those persons not to collect? They would collect. So what should we do at this point? Because, like I said, even though, oh, it's this person I want, I do not want this person. And there are some persons that are hungry. And these persons took rice to them. Don't you think they want to collect it?
You see, I would say that the people who sell votes are not a problem. There's two Nigerias. There are people who live in abject poverty. They account for almost 60% of this country. These are people who tomorrow's food is not yet guaranteed. They are surviving today for today. All they know is today. Then tomorrow when they wake up, they start the hustle and try and survive that tomorrow. So these are people who, by condition, they're in a place where we cannot expect too much from them. They selling their votes, I would say, is not the problem with Nigeria. The problem with Nigeria is the people who don't care enough to sell their votes. That's why they don't leave their house. Because they are so comfortable. They are like, well, is it because of 2000 I'll leave my house to go and vote? But yet, at the same time, they are choosing to go engage with the political system to change the country. The people who are watching, who have a TV to watch me and you discuss this issue, are the problem. The people who are listening and will sit at home at this next election, out of fear, out of confusion, out of lost hope, they are the ones that are causing the chaos in Nigeria.
Imagine those persons that have lost their life during this campaigning and all of that. Some persons lost their lives.
It is tragic that people lose their lives in elections. It is equally tragic that people die from kidnapping. Equally tragic that mothers die in the hospital because the hospital is not equipped. It is equally tragic that children have become terrorists. Children armed robbers. Why? Because they couldn't get a quality education. It is equally tragic that people are selling body because they cannot afford food. The tragedy is consistently. That does not mean we will not try and get out of this suffering. The tragedies will continue. If the Nigerian people sit at home and they say, oh, I fear the elections, I fear this, what then is the future going to bring? That strategy, it's not a new strategy now. Right? What Nigerian people need to understand is that the strategy of let me stay at home, let me not bother, I cannot come and kill myself. That strategy, has it worked? Has it worked? Do you know how many Nigerians are dying from curable diseases? Malaria that you eat with a 3,000 naira medication is still killing Nigerians today. So what exactly is like we are running from death, we are running from injury, running straight towards it. The worst part is that we are now creating a system that ensures that the next generation will continue to be in that position.
We need to do the right thing.
We need to do the right thing, no matter the cost. No matter the cost. The people who are leaving their house to go and vote, the woman in Lagos who was attacked at a police, had her eye injured, went to go and get it stitched and came back to vote. Is not a mad woman. No? She's not mad. She did it and something and she's willing to pay that price. Wherever she is, God bless to an nation that this thing that we call democracy, this thing that we call a working country, nowhere in the world have people not gone. Nowhere in the world have people not paid the price of the government they have. The English paid the price. The Americans paid the price when they had their revolution, their civil war. People have fought tirelessly because they can endure. So if Nigerians believe that somebody out of heaven is just come magically and twist Nigeria into a working nation, I'm very sorry for you.
Interesting. Okay, so Nigerian political parties and candidates based on competence and popularity or loyalty in political relations still dominating the process?
It would seem that loyalty is the most paramount thing selecting our leaders, right? Because the ones that, their godfathers, we publicly embarrass them, we declare state of emergencies in their states, and then eventually what happened in Lagos? We have who allegedly, upset some of the fathers, and he was stripped of his position. So, the message is very clear. They are selling to all other, political actors that, listen, you toe the line, you do what you are told, or we will remove you.
So at this point, who has work to do before 2027? Is it INEC or political parties or Nigerians as a whole?
I cannot, for me personally, I cannot put my faith in INEC.
Oh, really?
No. I cannot put my faith in INEC. See, my own is, every Nigerian should look at it. Your sovereign land is your polling unit.
Okay.
Come out, stay at that polling unit, vote. Don't disturb anybody, no matter who. At my polling unit, if I see anybody attacking a ADC or attacking a APC voter, I will defend them.
Okay.
At my polling unit, all I say is we will vote, our votes will count, and we will transmit those results.
All right.
And everybody must take their poll.
Interesting. All right. Thank you so much. And Nigeria is going to be great again.
Amen.
And the people will get what they want.
People will get what they want.
Interesting. All right. Thank you so much for your time. We're actually out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nigerians. Thank you, all our viewers, for joining Talk Studio this beautiful morning on CMI. I am Restelina Unkwo. We will be handing over to Abini Network Studio for the continuation on CMI.
In Biggie's house, there is no place to hide. And even when you think no one is watching, the energy can swing in an instant. This BP Naija Season 11, everything burns brighter. Only the biggest moves tip the scale, because nothing is given, but everything is for the taking. When the world watches, will you be outshined? Or will you step up and take the spotlight? Big Brother Naija Season 11 starts Sunday, July 26th, showing 24/7 on DSTV Channel 198 and GoTV Channel 49. Headline sponsor, Bet Power.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking
That's
about
what I said. So
that's-
when they bullied her,
Yeah.
now, if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They
smart.
can't sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them up and dragging on both sides, you cannot breathe. And these women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
A very beautiful morning to you and welcome to the news update at this hour. I am Amarachuku Azuka. Chairman Edo State Tipper Drivers Association, Comrade Osaro Aibekon, has on behalf of the executive and entire member of the association in the state congratulated the state deputy governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, on his birthday. William Siamar has more.
Chairman, Edo State Tipper Drivers Association, Comrade Osaro Aigbekan, in a special congratulatory message, praised the State Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, for his commitment to Governor Okwebolo's administration's SHINE agenda and his role in advancing governance across the state. Comrade Aigbekan described the Deputy Governor as a strategic thinker, saying his counsel, experience and work ethics had contributed to the progress of the current administration in Edo State. He commended Deputy Governor for his engagement with community leaders, stakeholders and development partners, saying such relationships were important to the state's development. Comrade Aigbekan stated that Deputy Governor's ability to listen, develop strategies and implement government policies had earned him the respect of colleagues, civil servants and residents. Comrade Osaro Aigbekan wished the State Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, longevity, excellent health and more years of productive service to Edo State. From Benin, William Siama, ITV News.
Now, the permanent secretary and staff of the Office of the Deputy Governor of Edo State have congratulated Deputy Governor Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa as he marks his 46th birthday. In a congratulatory message signed by the permanent secretary, Mrs. Abeyuwa Oyenwese, the staff described the Deputy Governor as a dynamic, humble and compassionate leader whose commitment to public service continues to inspire those around him. They said his accessibility, wisdom, humility and dedication to duty have made him not only an effective deputy governor, but also a supportive boss, mentor and source of encouragement to members of staff. The staff expressed appreciation for his leadership and prayed for God's continued blessings upon his life, including good health, wisdom, strength, and greater capacity to serve the people. They wished Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa a happy 46th birthday, praying that the new year brings him greater fulfillment, renewed strength, and many more years of impactful service to Edo State. Now, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Wesley Hotel and Suites, Ambassador Wesley Asoro, JP, on behalf of the management and staff of Wesley Hotel and Suites, has felicitated with the Edo State Deputy Governor, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa, on his birthday. Ambassador Asaro JP, in a congratulatory message to the Deputy Governor, said they celebrate a remarkable leader, a champion of progress, and a beacon of hope for the people of the state. He said as Edo State Deputy Governor Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa marks another year of life, his continuous loyalty and cooperation with his principal has ensured that Edo is shining in line with the Project Shine agenda. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Wesley Hotel and Suites noted that as a distinguished politician, Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa has demonstrated unwavering commitment to the welfare and development of Edo State, adding that his leadership has been instrumental in shaping the state's development trajectory, and his passion for transformative governance is inspiring. The message said Right Honorable Dennis Idahosa's impressive track record from his early days as Commissioner in the Edo State Ministry of Investments, Public-Private Partnership, to his tenure as a member of the House of Representatives is an affirmation to his dedication and hard work. As a way of promoting hospitality business in the States, a new eatery outlet known as Clay Plate African Restaurant has opened in Benin City. The outlet, located at number 14 Aimure Avenue off Iyama Road, Benin City, attracted dignitaries from all walks of life. The report is presented by Efosa Uwangwe.
It was fun and merriment as guests and prospective customers joined the Chief Executive Officer, Hilton Peters Obote, said to formally open the eatery outlet for public use. Adducing reasons for the new outlet, Clay Plate African Restaurant, the CEO said as a way of contributing his quota to the economic uplift of the state, he deemed it necessary to set up such an establishment. He said the outlet will help in whetting the appetite of prospective customers who want a different taste of African cuisines and assure the people of quality service delivering.
I ask God for the support of my friends, my brothers, and today they are here. So I want to use the opportunity to appreciate all my brothers here, all my sisters here, for the support you've rendered. It's been a very hard journey.
Some friends of the CEO congratulated him for achieving such a feat, saying it is a way of promoting development in the state.
The people of the state, they are going to be very, very grateful.
This is a new place. They have nice food, so our advice people to come and try their food. I believe they really enjoy it.
Courage made the difference, and I want to encourage him to continue to stick to God and that courage, to continue to believe in God and believe in himself. Like I said in my prayers, he has taken the right steps, and that right step is a bold one, and I see him making continuous progress, and I want to continue to pray for him.
It's a beautiful one, lovely, like you can see. We're all having fun. We encourage our youths and men from the town to do more, so as to bring in development to the state. Yeah.
High point of the day was the official inauguration of the new outlet, Clay Plate African Restaurant. From Benin, Efosa Uwangwe, ITV News.
Moving on, stakeholders in grassroots football development have described youth football competitions as a veritable platform for discovering talents, promoting discipline, and keeping young people positively engaged. They also say sports can be used to promote Christian values and encourage moral development among children. The stakeholders spoke at the opening ceremony of the third edition of the Salvation Cup football tournament in Benin City. The report filed by Tina Aigbe is presented by Esther Ogoro.
The UBTH football training pitch in Benin City came alive as 20 teams took to the field for the third edition of the Salvation Cup football tournament. The under-15 competition, which attracted participating teams, is aimed at combining football development with character building and Christian values. The opening encounter between Ogbomo FC and MFM Uselu was keenly contested by both teams, who failed to convert goal-scoring opportunities. The chairman of the Edo State Football Association, Fred Newton, commended the initiative, describing it as an avenue for evangelism, talent discovery, and youth development.
As the name in quotes, Salvation Cup, and I always tell people that you can't do it without Christ, and this is the only way to get these young ones into Christ.
Sponsor of the tournament and consultant physician with the Edo State Specialist Hospital, Dr. Chris Eibe, said the competition was designed to help young players develop their football talent while also growing in the knowledge of God. He assured the participating teams and stakeholders of his continued support, announcing cash prizes for the winners, runner-up, and third place.
The Salvation Cup is designed to help children know God better. They are going to improve their skills in this competition.
UK-based football enthusiast Prince Osaze Eweka expressed satisfaction with the initiative, saying it provides young people with a positive environment to develop their talents and stay away from the streets.
We see some beautiful games, some very skillful players, some very dedicated players.
The chairman of the Ego Local Government Football Council, Chinedu Uba, also commended the organizers, noting that the tournament promotes unity and healthy competition among participating teams.
I want to say I'm pleased, and I want to thank the organizers of this tournament for putting it up.
From Benin, Esther Ogoro, ITV News.
Lastly, on the news update, as political activities gather momentum ahead of the 2027 general elections, a coalition of social, cultural, youth, Women and professional groups in Edo State has endorsed the All Progressive Congress candidate for Oredio Federal constituency, Dr. Padi Iyamu. The groups say the endorsement followed what they described as their assessment of the candidate's capacity, experience, and commitment to the development of Oredio Federal constituency. Donald Ehimien completes the report.
With campaigns activities and the 2027 general elections drawing closer, political realignments and endorsements are taking center stage in Edo State. Aikopa Simi movement worldwide in conjunction with the Benin sociocultural organizations, Otu Edo Youth Union, Elise United Forum, Teni Foundation, Movement for Gender Equality, a Network for Egalitarian Society, Patriotic Citizens Forum, Initiative for Women Empowerment, Congress of Professional Women, and Edo Youth for Social Political Forum, among others, have endorsed the APC candidate for Oedo Federal Constituency, Dr. Padi Iyamu. The groups at a gathering in Beniti on Tuesday expressed confidence in Dr. Iyamu's ability to effectively represent the constituency at the National Assembly if elected.
Padi Iyamu Emmanuel Idagboya is a pure Benin man. That's the reason why we endorse him today as our sole candidate for Oredo Federal Constituency come 2027 general election.
I would describe him as a very perfect candidacy because of his antecedent, because of what he has done before in the education sector.
In his remarks, Dr. Padi Iyamu thanked the groups for their political realignment and support for his candidacy.
I'm happy to be amongst my people. I'm happy for the endorsement from my people. And of course, we know that Federal House of Rep seats, here we come.
The APC candidate for the Oedo Federal Constituency, Dr. Padi Iyamu, responded satisfactorily to questions raised by some representatives of the various groups bordering on meaningful representation. The House of Representatives election is scheduled for Saturday, February 20, 2027, alongside the presidential and Senate elections. From Benin, Donald Ehimien, ITV News.
Well, that report brings us to the end of the news updates at this hour on Independent Television. Many thanks for watching. I am Amara Chuku Azuka. Good morning.
ITV, certainly the best.
Hey, wonderful people. It's another beautiful Wednesday morning where we talk on trending stories on social media and, of course, different people with their different reactions. I am Marcelina and trust you're doing well. All right, our first story, we saw a video of the Osun State Governor, Governor Ademola Adeleke, where he says criticism of my dancing by the opposition stems from jealousy. They cannot dance. Dancing is my hobby, but it does not affect my job or my Professor Governor. Former Governor Oyetola is still angry that I defected him. He's using the president and federal minds to intimidate my supporters. Take a look at the video before we go to the reactions.
Me when I'm working, I can dance with you now. When you come to my office, I'm a very serious person. There's time for everything. There's time to dance and there's time to work. So they are jealous because they cannot dance. If they want, I will teach them how to dance. But that does not stop my work. Listen, these people, Oyetola is still suffering from the pain of defeat. He's using, maybe because he's a cousin to Mr. President, he has caused a lot of problem in Osun State. This is the Boyega, if you are listening to me, this is democracy. Just because I defeated you, go and sit down. This is democracy. It is what Osun people want. Osun people is the one they will decide. You use Mr. President's name, you are allowing people to be killed, you have arrested Accord members. As I'm speaking to you, I've been talking to Bishop Matthew Coker because I did not want to come to that signing. He said, please.
Interesting. They're jealous of me because they can't dance. Okay, let's take a look at the reaction. This person, Augustine Joy, says the APC members don't have nothing against him. So they're attacking him with his hobbies. Very annoying people. Very anyhow people. Okay, Felix said, this is how you will know APC has nothing to offer. How can you link someone's hobby to his work as a governor? Everyone has hobbies. Even the so-called APC members, they all have hobbies. Okay, let's take a look at another reaction. Godwin says on X, politics should be about ideas, politics and performances, not who can dance or who is still bitter about an election loss. If the opposition has genuine concerns about Osun, let them challenge Adeleke on governance and deliver alternative to the people. Okay, that is for that. There's other user on X says, how many governors can buoyantly say, go and fact check? I have done this, I have done that. Imole and confidence, I like it. That this story. The next story is we saw a streaming video of Davido in London where he was having a conversation with Israel, and some persons, you know, said, oh, the way he reacted or the way he spoke to Israel, according to him, he said, go inside my car, leave this bus. And Israel says, there's space here, I can stay here. And Davido responded, I said, go inside my car. When I tell you do something, you do it. Don't ever argue with me. Interesting. This video has been trending on social media. Take a look at the video.
Yeah, go back. Yeah. Okay, go back. Oh, yeah, wait, comes on. Sir. Yeah, I did. Let me just go. Take this step. Take this step one at a time. That's how you're crazy. Very fast. What you want to do?
Interesting. Let's take a look at the reaction. This user says, I don't find this disrespectful. I just feel Israel knows him better than we do, and he has a reason for saying he should go to his car. Davido knows Israel would blast him later because them be party. Okay. This other user in black says, these didn't sound nice to me, but that is my opinion. There might be a reason he said that. Okay, interesting. This other user says, I swear I no blame that babe will leave Israel, because as a wife, how do you watch your husband get bounced and ridiculed on a national live stream? Okay. That is for that. As other user, Big Ass Posh says, that was too harsh unless there's a conversations before this one. If not, that was too much for real. Interesting. This other user on X says, this is just a talk between boss and staff. If you reach your turn, talk back to your guy. Okay, that is for that particular story. Another trending story still on politics on social media, where Francis Adenigba, Fadonsi, senator representing the Osun East constituency, says, he says, if you see them, kill them. He tells his supporters. No, but now he has come out to say he's just telling people to kill the vote, and it doesn't mean it the way people are taking this whole issue. Let's take a look at the video before we go to the reactions. Interesting. He says his comments were about voters making political choices and not about attacking opponents. All right, let's take a look at the reaction. It says, this person Tunde says, if it was another party politician that made this statement, the partisan Osun CP and the IGP will not allow the person to sleep in his house today. Since this man is an APC member, nothing will be done to him. Interesting. Okay, don't be surprised, this video might be an addicted one. I don't trust the oppositions. How do you think that the current serving senator will say this kind of thing at Brock? Please confirm the statement attributed to that Osun State senator. Okay, that is for that. This other person says, funny how what he meant is different from what they believe it to mean. As an Ijesha boy, okay, as he said, what he said doesn't mean kill in the contents. It means beat or win. Interesting. But people will not really understand that. This other person, Brown of Lagos, says, this is what happens when some bosses stop seeing your value. Okay, that is for that. Let's take a look at this other comment. This person said, if you make yourself too available to your employees, they begin to think you are friends. That is for that story. Our last story is when the Osun State Governor, Governor Adeleke, said call for his arrest. He's calling for the arrest of Francis Adenigba, the senator representing Osun East constituency, that says if you see them, kill them. Even though he has come out to defend himself that is not what he meant, but the Osun State Governor is calling for his arrest. Let's take a look at the video.
About the reported directive to arrest Accord Party. But I am appealing to him that if this development if it is true, it is illegal, and present Nigeria as a lawless country. Arresting Accord Party leaders on the eve of an election amount to police helping and assisting the APC Osun to rig the election. The second issue has to do with the viral video of a service senator, Francis Fadonsi, who today called for the killing of Accord Party leaders.
Interesting. This user says he is still the governor of a state and has obligations to secure life and properties. He has the right to demand the arrest of terrorists that want to kill Osun people in the guise of election. Okay, this other user says, this is one of the benefits of state or local police. The government shouldn't even be talking about issues like this because in a sane society, that senator should be behind bars by now. Thus, last user says the allegations surrounding the viral videos should be thoroughly investigated. If wrongdoing is established, the appropriate legal action should follow. Interesting. This is for that, and this is all we've got for you on TMI Socials this beautiful morning. Want to say a very big thank you to all our esteemed viewers for joining our Lagos Network Studio, our Benin Network Studio, and our Abuja Network Studio on TMI this beautiful morning. I am Marcelina. Do have a beautiful day out there and stay safe.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Are you in Benin?